Yolanda, can you hear me?
All right, everyone. We are live. Hey, everyone. What's good? We have a great topic for you this evening. We have a couple guests joining us. But before I get into that, oh no, wait a minute, guys. Hold on, my camera's not on. I'll worry about that. I'm sorry. But before I introduce the guests for the evening, let me bring my co-hosts on. So let's bring Tanza, Data, and Miss Sneed. All right. So we also have two guests joining us this evening. We have Naomi and we have Joy Whitmore. She is a licensed master social worker. She affectionately is known as Coach Nicole to her clients. She has been doing therapy for 12 years. She is trained in trauma-focused therapy and many others. She works with clients between the ages of 5 and 85 years old of age. Welcome to the platform, Joy.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So Naomi is here this evening to share her story on the sexual abuse she endured as a child, bring awareness to us. So Naomi, would you like to share with us some of the incidents that may have took place?
Yes. Thank you for having me once again. What I would like to share, I started getting molested abuse at the age of 5. It started off with just touching, and the hugs will be more intimate. Um, he would say I'm special. Um, it would start off with just the hugs, and then as time progressed, it became more intimate. He would take me into the room and touch on my physical parts, and just tell him keep just at first I would, move away, but then he would say that it was special. I'm a special being. Give me the more attention. He would start off with just kissing me, and then it would move more. He would kiss on my private parts, and it would still just be kissing. As years progressed, from 6 years old to 7 years old, he would be more prone to babysitting me, so that way he can have me all the time. He was a family friend. And then it went from touching to penetration with his fingers. It went from there, and he never hit me until the age of 9, and that's when hold on one second, guys. He never hit me until I got to, like, I would say maybe maybe 9 years old. That's when I really started getting hit on. But he never hit me in my face. That what he gave a lot. He never hit me in my face. He he would hit me in my body parts. Penetration became more prone to I'm sorry.
Okay, take your time.
It was first, it was just a slap. Then it was, he would squeeze my titty more. And he would penetrate. Instead of with one finger, it climbed next to 2 fingers. When I was 10, that's when he used his parts. That's when he used his parts. I cried that night like a newborn baby. I cried. He would say, "No one's not gonna listen to me." At 10 is when I also became woman. That's when I had my menstrual cycle. I got my menstrual cycle real early. My parents was there, but they weren't. My mom is was a nurse at the time, so she was never home. My dad was an engineer, and when he comes home, we're either asleep, and when we wake up in the morning, they're gone. And on the weekends, they would be home, but it's not like they're home, sleep in or cook or whatever. So I would, so I had I got molested from the age of 5 to 11. Um, he penetrated me once, and that was when I was 10. But the molestation of touching me kept going until the age of 11. I had my savior that day, I would say. I would say a teacher, she she noticed, I would say. She noticed the change. I became quieter. I stopped playing with kids. I always jumped when a guy came in the room, or the little boys would come and be want to play, and I'll flinch. So I guess she observed all of that, and I'll never forget that day. I was 11 years old, and we had class, and we was about to have recess, and I just stayed in my chair and I zoned out because I'm looking at the time and I'm like, I'm about to go home. I don't want to go home. She came up to me. She sat next to me. I didn't even know she was sitting next to me until she called my name, and I blinked, and she asked me those words, "Are you okay?" And when she said that, I broke down. I cried. I cried. I cried. And she said, "Do you want to go home?" And I shook my head no. And she said, "Okay, you want to go home?" And that was the beginning of saving me, but at the same time, I was an outcast to my family. The person who did this was a family friend for years. He helped the family, he helped the whole family. So he took advantage of me, but my family didn't see that. My dad didn't see that. My mom, she saw it to an extent, but everyone else didn't see that. They thought it was a regular thing. That, so what, he touched you, man? Happened to everyone. Psh, move on.
Really? And so
Um,
I wanted to ask you,
mhm.
before the teacher stepped in to help you, did you ever try to tell your parents, or was there something that you felt like you couldn't, or were you scared?
I tried. When I was 6 years old, I asked my dad a question, and he asked me, "Why are you asking that question?" And then I said, "Uncle X is touching me like this." He looked at me, and he called him in. He called him in, and he lied and stated that he was taking me a shower, and he just took me a shower, and he didn't touch me in no way. And my dad brushed it off like it wasn't nothing. I tried and plead. I got a whooping. I got beaten. And the next day, he said, "I told you, they're not going to believe you. You're a child. You're a child in their eyes. They're not going to believe you." And from that age of 6, I didn't never say nothing again. I just went through the ropes. I would try not to, when my cousins come over, he wouldn't touch me when family, like my little cousins come over, he wouldn't touch me then. So I took that as an advantage of always trying to have them to sleep over, always keep them here. And I used to always wonder, like, why me? Like, everybody else is here. They're the same age as me. They're a girl just like me. Why me? I had an older sister. Why me? I told my sister. She told one of her friends. It got back to him, and I got to beat him again. Haitian culture, they just shrug it under the rug. They don't do nothing about it. Yes, my savior was my teacher at the age of 11, 4 years after. 5 years after I tried to tell my parents, it took 5 years for someone else to finally see I was in danger. Like, I needed help.
And so was
And
he ever convicted of
yes,
this? Okay.
he was convicted. I wanted more years because from me, I was molested from the 5 to 11. He only got 5 years. So it traumatized me to think, yeah, my mom, she finally, believed after the rape kit. And when DCF came in the picture, the teacher would not let me leave. And I stayed at her house for a good 2 weeks because I didn't want to go home.
Right.
When they finally gave my mom custody back to me, I went home. Everybody looked at me like I was the wrong. Like I did something wrong. Aunties, uncles, friends of the family, all of them looked at me like,
Even though this evidence came about and it was found to be true, everyone looked at you like you were the bad person. So
I
do
was
you
the bad
hold
person.
any resentment against your mom and dad or your family members?
I used to. I used to. For years. I was the outcast of my family. They have gone outings. I would be the last to know. My dad's side of the family resented me a lot. My brothers, they resented me a lot. Till this day, I have a brother that don't talk to me at all.
Because of that situation?
And that situations and me, quote unquote, standing up for myself, of learning how to talk for myself and not to hold my feelings in. I did a lot of therapy sessions, and the therapy sessions were private. Like my family, when I talked to my mom and told her that I want to do therapy, no, you're not crazy. That pride. No, we can't do that. We can't do that. We'll take you to the church and the pastor will talk to you. They'll pray for you. I'm like, pray for me. I don't need pray. Yeah, I need prayer, but that's not what I need. I need other things. I need an outlet. I need to find an outlet of holding all this anger and want to understand why me. Over the course of my teens years, I became rebellious. Always leaving home. I'll come home, but I always leave home. Always around the way, just chilling. Met a guy that I liked, had sex on a regular.
So I wanted to
Trying to-
ask you, Did it affect, like, in your adult life, did it affect like your relationships? Like your relationships, like as far as like being in a relationship with a man, did it have any effect on your relationship?
I would say it did because, hello? Oh, I would say it did. I would say it did to the fact of I don't trust men. Um, the only person I do trust is is my my dad, but in the sense I didn't trust him because he didn't save me. So over the years I didn't trust men, and it took me a long time to trust men. Um, my kid's father, he was the first guy, my first child. He was the first guy that I trusted, but it happened again. With my first child's father. He raped me. I had a child in the process, but I didn't abort because I wanted to feel love. I wanted to give somebody my love. So, but over the years, I'm learning to trust men, but at the same time, I have like my heart been hardened. Like I don't trust men. I'll tell them I love them or stuff like that, but it'll go out their window. I won't trust it. I had to heal over the cost of time because I felt like I was gonna be destructible.
And so did that make you do things differently with your kids?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. It made me really with my daughter, with my son, my first son, was very overprotective. I was very overprotective. No one would take care of them. I wouldn't have nobody to watch them. And when they became going to school, I would pick them there. I would volunteer at the school. I would always be around the school. I would work mornings just so I can be home with them. The only people that I did trust, um, after a couple of years, my mom did ask for forgiveness. She apologized, and she earned her trust back with me because it was years she wanted to see her grandkids. I wouldn't I wouldn't let her. And then she finally moved in with me. And I was like, okay. So she started to earn her trust with me. And she would say, you can go to work and I'll watch the kids. And I was like, Mom, don't let nobody in this house. Please don't let nobody in this house. I don't trust no man.
Right.
Their dad, for the twins' dad, he up and left. And I was okay with it because I'm like, men gonna come and go. That was my motto. They do what they do and they leave, so it's whatever. Um, my boys, I teach them to be gentlemen. I remember one doctor told me that the things that you go through in life, when you have kids, you teach them better. He was saying everything happened for a reason at that time. Now I'm okay with it, but at that time when he told me that, I was like, everything happened for a reason. So what I went through was the reason at the end of it. But I still don't know why he did it. He did go to jail for 5 years. And what hurts the most, even though now, is he's still around the family. He comes and goes as he please.
Do
What
you,
he did to me when I was young, nothing.
so do you think that you ever really fully got the healing that you may have needed?
I don't think I have. I think I lock away a key, and if it comes around, I'll mourn it. I'll cry out, and then lock away the key.
Do you think you can ever I don't know. I know what I'm trying to say, but it's not coming out. But
Yeah, I
do
was
you?
gonna let the therapist Joy speak next. I wanted to,
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
and so Joy, I just wanted to say, hearing Naomi's story, what are some of the effects that you would typically find in these cases?
Well, it's first of all, Naomi, thank you for sharing.
Look.
A lot of times, one of the major things about child sexual abuse is that it has no voice. And that's one of the reasons why it continues to go on and on and on, is because people are afraid of losing their family, or they disappointing somebody, or they don't think that they matter or they're important. And I just want to validate that your story is important. And I want to tell you there is no judgment about what has happened and what you have tried to do to heal yourself and to move forward. That is one of the biggest keys, is giving people hope, and hopefully with sharing your story and learning some of the statistics, knowing that you're not a mistake and what has happened to you is not okay, period. And what we have to do to be able to move forward is make it not okay. We are too lackadaisical when it comes to setting boundaries about our bodies and what we allow from family members pertaining to children and ourselves. So a lot of the things like that, just a little bit of statistics with you guys. From the ages of 5 until 13, those are the most vulnerable ages for children to experience sexual abuse or assault. 5 to 13. In one calendar year, there was an increase of people reporting, which is good, but there was an increase. It was 1 in 4 girls experienced sexual abuse or assault. Now it is 1 in 3. It is 1 in 5, every 5 boys. So there's more boys reporting sexual abuse. We have to remember that sexual predators do not care about gender. All they care about is their sexual prowesses, their lack of control, and being able to dominate over other people. That is their whole MO when it comes to being a sexual predator, being able to manipulate, being able to control, being able to, maneuver in and out of family systems, being undetected. And then that gives them an adrenaline rush when they aren't prosecuted. That gives them the even more MO to continue to keep doing it. But if it's not addressed, most of our feelings and emotions are like toddlers. If they are not addressed, all they do is get bigger and they have a bigger temper tantrum. So if you don't address and give the time and attention, there's a difference between reflecting and dwelling. Dwelling tends to lead to more depression because you figure something is wrong with me. What did I do wrong? But reflecting is like, this is what happens to me, and I am going to do my best to heal with it. Because a lot of times we try to push things away, like I'm going to heal from this and then I'm done with it. Doesn't happen like that. So that's why I say heal with it, instead of saying, I'm going to heal from it, like you're trying to detach completely from it. And sometimes that is not completely the case, but it gives you more control over how much healing you want to do and what you want to do with, that process.
So wanted to ask, how do you find that being abused affects kids in life as far as relationships and such?
Well, it greatly affects them because it gives them an insecure attachment style. And, as Naomi has explained, those who have an insecure attachment style, there are 4 different attachment styles, and insecure and avoidant attachment styles are very prevalent with children who have experienced sexual abuse, and then also children who grew up in volatile environments such as gang-related domestic violence, seeing their parents, fist fight and things of that nature. So when you develop these type of attachment styles, they show up in your relationships because there's no trust. You are often projecting your emotions on someone else. You're making them accountable for the hurt, the abuse, and the pain that you experienced as a child. And then you also a lot of times revert back to being a child, because you have not grown from the initial impact of abuse. Usually people who experience trauma, they remain that same
You went on mute. Okay.
and there's no interventions therapeutically. So you see that as far as like the mistrust, the judgment, always projecting. There's the sense of abandonment, which is very, very key. They, if they don't come home from work on time, or they find themselves wanting to need validation and reassurance, those who have avoidant attachment styles need a lot of reassurance. Like, am I good enough? Am I doing enough? Will they leave me? Are they going to stay? What do I need to make them stay? There's this constant anxiety about performance because you're performing for their love. And usually, kids who have experienced an extensive amount of trauma usually end up performing because they just like, this is what I did to be able to receive love. They touched me because they love me. So now I have to show a little bit more skin, and I have to be a little bit more vulgar or whatever in order to feel loved. So that shows up in that too, because then you get a partner that's kind of like, I love you for who you are. And then they're like, well, no, let me do this and let me do that and let me do this. And it's just like, and then you overwhelm your partner, and then ultimately self-sabotaging the relationship.
What would you recommend as far as like a healing process in someone who's gone through this? What would you recommend, like as far as healing process?
Well, healing is not linear, it's not a step-by-step thing. It's like what we tell everyone is just first acknowledge it. You cannot heal what you conceal. A lot of times people want to conceal their anger, and they want to conceal, their jealousy or whatever emotion that they're experiencing. But like I said, if you do not address it and give it its proper attention, then it's going to blow up and blow over into many other areas in your life. We speak a lot about romantic relationships, but a lot of times that same mistrust goes into your work relationship. You don't trust your boss. You don't trust your paycheck. You calculating every hour to the penny. It's like, did they short me somewhere? And so you're finding these ways to have control in your life, even on when you're on the job, because you don't feel good enough, or you feel like somebody's going to do you dirty. So then you become very assertive in certain areas of your life because you've been walked over in a very intimate area of your life. But I always say start what you feel comfortable with. Some people, may journal. Some people may feel like they need counseling or coaching. A lot of times people have issues with anxiety, so they are too far in the future. They come up with all of these worst case scenarios, and so they're not able to function in their job or at home. So my first thing is always acknowledge I have been hurt. Something hurt me, and make it very clear that I am hurting, because if you do not acknowledge the fact that you are hurt, your healing is in vain. Because there's no healing if nothing is hurt.
Right.
So the first step is always acknowledging, and then there's different ways to be able to process, being able to talk, sometimes sitting out in nature, confiding in a friend, reading certain books about how to create boundaries, things of that nature. But my thing is always acknowledge the fact that you've been violated. I am hurt and this is not okay. Because the more that we side with, wearing that mask, that facade, that everything is okay, nothing is going to get better or addressed.
Thank you for that, Joy. Naomi, I just wanted to say to you that I think you're a very beautiful person. I think you're very strong. I'm glad that there was somebody there that, was able to realize something was off and that you were able to get that help and finally, trust someone that you could tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Naomi, I want to say to you that a couple of things, actually. First of all, it's very, very, very brave of you to come on and share your story, because that is not easy to do. It's very emotional and it's a lot.
I was so nervous.
I know.
The time of coming, I was like,
it puts you back into childhood again. It makes you that 5-year-old all over again, doesn't it? Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it really did, because a couple of days ago I was on the app Fanbase, and one young lady was talking about, and we was just talking about. I was telling them about the interview I was about to have, and she was telling me that you should try this a method. She was trying to give me a method to try to see if I could do. It's called IFS. Is it IFS? Internal family system, something. It's a module.
Okay.
But I didn't get the full research of it. But she was saying that it's something to do with, from time to time you'll get a frame, like you'll feel like you're 5 years old again, that you can't speak, you can't talk about the situation. You'll react to a situation and you'll break down and you'll act out as how you was 5 years ago when you were 5 years old, or the time that you had the trauma, and then you'll go back to normal, but you'll get these time frames that it'll happen in seasonal or some, in any case of it. She was telling me, she said that's where your mindset is. It'll go back and when you're dealing with a trauma, when you're dealing with something, you'll go back in that sense of how the age you were and deal in that sect.
As I believe that to be absolutely true. But I also wanted to tell you that, you are not by yourself. I'm sure if you were to poll just the panel of ladies that are on here tonight, that you would find that you are not alone. I myself have been through quite a bit of your story, so I definitely understand it. And, there was a couple of things. The reason why I wanted to make sure that you knew that you were not alone in a lot of your dynamic, especially when it comes to your family and how they interacted with the perpetrator and how they still interact with the perpetrator. It's not uncommon. It's not uncommon. So you would be surprised how many people are dealing with those emotions. Because it's hard to deal with a mom and a dad and a brother and a sister that still has a relationship with someone who's done you wrong, right? I know. I know. And even no matter what, even with, convictions, you can put a video camera in front of them and they can see. I had a conversation. This is something I wanted to share with you. I had a conversation with a family member of mine, the exact same dynamic. And what they said to me, which is something that made me think a little bit, and I'm older and that was years ago. And so, with time, things heal up a little bit. But one thing that they said to me was that when somebody that you love, and so I'm going to use your child for an example, when your child does something wrong to someone else, you can't stop loving your child, right? You can. And so that kind of over the years kind of helped me, because then I had children. And so I could understand certain things, and it helped me in my ability to forgive other people and their relationships. Still stay away because you got to protect yourself first, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Got to protect you first, right? But to kind of start to understand some things. But also, Joy mentioned that now it's one of three or 1 in 3 children that are experiencing this. And I want to expand it because a lot of times people think that, abuse is only valid when people are young, but it's not. It can happen a lot of times. And abusers, a lot of times, are in your family or close to your family because they know that that's a situation that protects them. They went outside and just randomly picked a kid, they'd get taken down in a heartbeat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But inside a family unit is protection for them. It's one of the reasons why they do it. But I wanted you to know, when she said that it's 1 in 3, I think you said, Joy, that's being reported.
Yes.
You can only imagine how many more there are that are not being reported. Right?
Absolutely.
So the numbers have got to be astronomical. And because of that, it's so important that you're strong enough and willing to come out and share your story, because we don't even know the amount of people out there that have experienced something like this. And they need to hear that they're not alone. And it's from people that look like everyday people that are living everyday lives.
Yeah.
That have
So
suffered.
much.
Yeah. Yeah. And still carrying a beautiful smile on her face, nonetheless. So I want to applaud you for that. And I thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you.
I just want to say, Naomi, I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
And I never would have known that up under all that beauty and that good heart, you've been through so much.
Yeah, I try to over the years I was an ugly person over the years. And I had my children. When I had my son, I thought to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to be ugly anymore. I have to teach this child how to love themselves, how to stand up for themselves, how to always put a smile on their face, even if it's an ugly world out there. How to keep moving forward, to stay positive, even in the darkness. And I've always instilled that in their hearts, and it helped me by teaching them how to do that. It helped me in a way to keep away the ugly. That's why I said that I'll just lock it up. Always think of the positive. Always think of happy thoughts. I meditate a lot. Like for this interview, I meditated a lot to open the door of that, to share more. And what I shared was what I remembered from the unlocked key. I know that more trauma happened. It just is locked away. It's been locked away for years, since 11 years old, and I'm 40 now. But I love you too, Day Day.
I was crying, girl, because we got something in common. We might not have everything in common, but we got something in common.
Yeah.
You just make it easy for me. You're my voice, and I thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Nee, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to say, you're not alone, and it happened to me, but I was like 10 or 11, and it happened to me twice in one night, and I couldn't understand why me. my best friend, who I thought was my friend, hanging out, young, trying to run the streets, thought that's what it was. I think I was like 10 or 11. And then after they did that, I caught myself escaping to an older guy and thinking he finna get me home and take me to safety for him to turn around and do the same thing. So it took a lot out of me to trust people, and to trust men, because once that happened to me, I just went completely gay because I couldn't trust no man. I didn't want to be bothered with a man, you know. But like Miss Joyce say, I had wrote that journal. And every time I think about it, I write about it because it helps release you. Yeah, it's still there, but it helps release you. Like even when you write in that journal, talk about it, talk it out. Like, yeah, okay, yeah, just talk it through. But just keep writing that journal. I'm telling you, it will release you. It might not work all the way for you, but it will release you. And you're a beautiful person, and I love you too. And nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And you will get through this. You're a strong, beautiful Black woman. And God has brought you this far, and he ain't gonna leave you now. He's gonna make sure and carry you through this. He's gonna get you through this. Nobody understands why it happens. Nobody knows. It just happens. But I'm so blessed that the person who did this to you is locked up. Because if the person wasn't locked up, you'd be a worse person than what you is today. You wouldn't be able to talk about it. So that's a blessing right there. That's a blessing. But just know you're not alone. And I'm sad and sorry that happened to you. And just keep that smile on your face. Keep that beauty up. Keep them lashes on. Keep smiling. Keep, you know what I'm saying? Keep lifting yourself up. And whenever that stuff hits you, because it still hit me too, I just write. But now I run to the Lord. I play that music. And that's like my comfort zone. God, when I get through stuff like that I can't handle or I can't deal with, that's too much for me, I call on God. I ain't calling nobody else. I'm gonna play that music, and if I have to get on my knees, I'm gonna get on my knees. I'm gonna sit on that couch. I'm gonna sit wherever I need to be in that comfort zone and talk to my Lord and ask him to help me get through this. Guide me through this, Lord. Help me through this. You feel me?
Yes.
You're a strong woman. I'm looking at you. You're strong. I'm crying, but I'm trying to hold it in because you're a strong Black woman. You're not alone, baby. And
You're not.
I'm glad that you got, I'm so happy that person is gone. Because if he wouldn't be gone, this would be a whole nother episode. And we all would be on here crying, trying to figure out patient soul, because we all women. We understand, So
What's that saying in The Color Purple? One of my favorite lines in that whole movie is, "A girl child ain't safe in a family of men."
Mm-hmm.
So true. It's so true. And I wanted you to remind you of that, Naomi. It's not just your culture. It is not just the Haitian culture. And it's not just the African American culture, because I know a lot of people want to think that it's, the secrets and stuff are just some. It's the family unit. It's the culture of a family unit. Whoever anybody's invited into their fold, there's a need to protect them or a need to hide what's wrong in it, or, it's just, I don't know what it is. So it's not just your family or that's like one of the main things I wanted you to take away from this. So you've already seen, you've got me, you've got Data, you've got Miss Sneed. We all can tell you, we've all been through it and have experienced the same exact things. So Joy said 1 out of 3, you already got 3 out of 6 already.
3 out of 6, because
it's already, that it's happening all over the place.
Yeah.
And I'm not one to be out here telling all my story and getting myself all emotional. So I appreciate you for
Yes.
being able, because that helps me, and it and
Yeah.
everyone else that's going through it, and it also helps those that have not, because then you can be aware of what may be going on in your own house right under your own nose, and be able to protect another child from going through the same thing.
And you know what, Naomi, to say this to you, it affects me so much. I don't even let my kids go. No, I be scared to let my kids go anyway because I'm scared somebody gonna do something to them. I don't let my babies
I
go.
do that too.
Like,
And
is you
my
gonna
daughters and my daughter, I have a twins, that boy and girl. And then my oldest son is a boy. My oldest son is 20. So even him, when he stepped foot outside, I like, where you going? I'm going walking. You got your phone? Yes, mom, I got my phone. Okay.
Because our
I
boys
got the
aren't safe
tracking
either.
on. Yeah, I got the
Our
tracking
boys
on.
are not safe either.
Yeah.
And so I be hesitate, I try to, they're my twins about to be 18. That's the scariest moment right now for me because they're about to go to college. One is going to the military. And I'm like, I know when you get to the military, you can't call me the way you call me. But even when they ship you out, I just need you to just call me. If you don't say nothing, I know that call is from you. I know you're okay. Send me a postcard for everywhere you're going to go. I tell them, I said, I don't care what the government said. I need to know where you're going to be at because you're my child. I created you. And he's like, okay, mom, I'll do it. Don't worry. I got you. I'm always be watching you. I was like, I know, but, and my daughter, I done showed her everything. Like, I showed her how to protect herself. Because I know when she's in school, I'm like, I can't be there when she's in school. And I can't, be there when she's in practice. So I show her, I bought her a taser. I bought her a pepper spray. I made sure she was straight without me there. And everybody like, you so overprotected. I have to be.
You have to be, because kids nowadays are coming up missing. Kids nowadays are coming up kidnapped or not being found. And when they are found, they either killed, hurt really bad, or somewhere in somebody's dungeon, or sex trafficking or something like that. You have to be alert. You have to be careful. You have to be very vigilant, not only with the people that they're around, but their friends, the schools.
Yeah,
Nowhere is safe.
all that questions.
Nowhere is safe anymore. And these nowadays, if kids are getting raped, they're shutting down, they're not saying anything, or one, it's leading them to either being sexually active or more, or they're either turning into being prostitutes or turning to prostitution. All that stuff is happening. So you have to be very alert and very vigilant.
Yeah.
I have a couple of comments from the viewers. Rhonda says a parent should always believe in their children no matter what the circumstances are. She also says she appreciates you as well telling your story. It's not easy. Miss Belinda also says, I appreciate her talking about it and I still can't talk about it. So you're not alone.
Yeah.
Just saying, thank you for being my voice, because I be scared to talk about that. I be scared of the judgment. I do. I be scared of the backlash. I be afraid. I be afraid that I might be called a liar. So thank you for being my
called
voice.
all of that. I was called all of that. I was
trying to use your story against you.
Yeah, I was called all of that. I was called outcast. There was like, you're not a part of the family. But I just kept going. I was the person, my dad always taught me to always keep going. Eventually over the years, my dad did apologize to me. We have a stronger bond now. He talks to the kids and everything. But for years, the family is the majority on my dad's side because the person came family friend close to my dad's side. So it was majority of my family from my dad's side that casted me aside. They wouldn't talk to me. The kids my age at the time, like my cousins and stuff, you know, they fought, they wanted to see me and stuff like that. But, their parents was like, you're not going over there to see her. You can't go over there no more. It was just, or they would let them come over, but they were not sleeping over. They would, not spend the night no more. But they didn't know that the time that this was happening, when they did spend the night, they were saving my life. They were saving me from not getting touched when they slept over. And I told him that. I was like, he never went to them. When they're here, he don't come here. He knew when not to come here because the kids was here. So they didn't have, so they was protecting their kids when it came all out. But he was doing it when they was there. He didn't come around when he was there. And I told him that.
I have a question for you, Naomi. I know that, one of the things that we all go through whenever this happens is why me and why'd he pick me? And it's my experience that I've gained over the years that generally it's always not just you, right? There's always other victims. But I'm wondering if you know of, or did anyone else in your family ever come forward saying that he had done anything to them as well? Did that ever happen? Even maybe not to everybody, but to you?
Nah.
No. As far as you know, there was no one else. It's interesting.
Nobody came up to me.
Was he much older than you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Much older. He was, we would call him uncle.
Okay.
So, and when he got freed, of course, the agency of the cops, they came to the house and they advised my mom. Well, no, they left a letter. We didn't see that letter till the day he came to the house. And my mom was like, what the fuck you doing here? You ain't supposed to be here. And he's like, oh, I'm out. Like, I done paid for my dues. I'm not that person anymore. My mom said, yes, the hell you are. Stay away from my daughter. And he left. He was like, I'm gonna always be here. The family always gonna need me.
Did he ever apologize to you?
No. He would say it like over the years, like I would come to the house and he would be there, and I would like brush past him and go handle what I need to handle for my parents and then leave. And when I'm leaving, he'll probably say, oh, why you not talking to me? I'm like, what? And then I'll just walk away and he'll say, oh, I'm sorry. And I look back, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you're not saying that for truthful. Right. You're just saying that because you're trying to talk to me. But now that I'm older, you can't do that to me. You're not gonna be able to get to me no more.
Yeah.
And when I know that he's over there, like, I tell my mom, I said, I don't want him coming in the house. Come in the house. I'm taking my kids. They're not coming over here. So she's like, no, he don't come in the house. He stay outside and talk to your dad and stuff. He don't come in the house. I said, okay. Yeah, but they still have him to this day.
Yeah, I know that story well. Trust me. I know that story well.
They still talk to him. They still call him.
Yeah.
And everybody just brushed it over like, yeah, it happened. Okay, move on. And I was like, okay.
Well, one of the things is that we can never get the retribution that we want. Never happens. And I think that which is really, we want people to fall down and be like, oh my God. If we were just to be honest, we want people to be like, oh, what a horrible
Even if they
person.
would have
Yeah,
said,
and he's just
even if
horrible
they
and
would
burn
have,
him.
yeah, even if they would have done, oh my God, or
Yeah,
cuss them out that day,
anything like that.
or just show that
Some
it's,
concern.
you know,
Right.
that,
Because it makes you
yeah,
feel like
he's
you're
on my
believed.
side, like you was
Right.
on my side, like he touched me and like I'm gonna fuck you up, or you know, something like that. My
Yeah.
brothers ain't do nothing. My brothers really thought I was the fast one and this, and I'm like, I'm 5 years old. How the hell am I a fast one at the age of 5?
But we don't
what?
get it. We can't get it. And that's why it's important. And that I don't want to say we can't get it because every family is different. I'm going to say that. But in general, you know, you never get, even with convictions and all that, we can't get back what we lost. You just
No.
can't get that back. Right. And nothing anybody says is going to fix that anyway. So I think that we have to like kind of reset our expectations and reset kind of what we want out of life. And when people show you who they are, you got to believe them, right?
And I kind of feel that's why I'm still
You got to
single.
believe them. Yeah. So when people show you who they are and what they know what you need, you've expressed yourself. I know if you're like me, many times when it comes to your family and friends and interaction and crossing paths with people that have done you harm. And if you can't rectify that, then again, it goes back to protecting yourself and your family first and keeping your sanity in line. If that means removing yourself from being
I have.
around
That's why I
people
moved
and
to
things.
Georgia.
Yeah.
That's why I
So,
moved to Georgia. I couldn't stay in Miami to always see that interaction and be okay. And don't get me wrong. I tried to ignore it and be like, whatever, it's whatever. But it was so hard. I was like, you know what? I'm gone. It's like, you can't leave. I said, who can't leave? Watch me leave.
And
I'm glad you're doing
Joy,
that.
I wanted to ask you, Joy, kids as young as Naomi was, typically what would be some of the signs that you would look for?
Typically with children as young as 4 and 5, because every child is different, but usually children are very outgoing. They're very autonomous. Usually kids who have been through sexual abuse, they exhibit very low self-esteem, very shy, very self-conscious. They struggle with being able to speak up for themselves. Some of them may not bathe. Some of them may bathe too much. You have to really pay attention to the patterns and the routines of your child. If your child is usually a good eater, and then all of a sudden after coming back from a sleepover, or because a lot of times people think that these things happen in the dark, a lot of this stuff happens right in plain sight because these people are masterminds of manipulation. So they can go to a baseball game and have been groped the whole entire time that they were practicing, and you come back and your kid is like, I'm not hungry, and you're like, well, I made your favorite dinner and I did all of this type of stuff and you're not hungry. And it's a continuous pattern. It's not an isolated incident. You notice, okay, every time that they go to baseball practice, they come back and they can't eat. Something is happening. You know what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily certain signs. There are, certain things we do look for, but it's all about the change in pattern of your child. If your child is used to, only, bathing, and then all of a sudden they don't want to take any more baths, and you're just like, why you don't want to take any more baths, and you have to kind of be, certain words for them. No, we don't want to pathologize a whole lot of things, but being able to give children that voice to say, did someone touch you in a spot that is private? And those conversations need to start as early as 2, like showing your children, okay, the part where the bathing suit covers, those are your private parts. And if you don't want anyone to hug you, kiss you, or any of those things, that is okay. Because a lot of times we feel as though because they are family, if the family say, hey, come and give me a hug, and the kid's like, no, the other person is feeling disrespected, we have to learn how to allow our children to be able to voice their opinion about their body, because it's their body and it starts very early. And so you have to be able to say, I, respect my child's wishes. If they don't want to give you a hug or be near you or things like that, I'm going to, because ultimately you are the steward of your child. So your stewardship belongs to your child until they are, out of the house or whatever. But even so, after they're out of the house, you still mess with them. But usually with children, as long as that, it's about noticing certain patterns, looking for patterns. If your child is usually a morning person and then all of a sudden they start, not wanting to wake up and it's a hard time to getting out of bed, then maybe you need to start, addressing, something going on, and have these conversations early and often. Do not wait until something bad happens, because then it is such hush hush and it's a taboo subject. Have these conversations frequently with your children, so that they know that, their body and their boundaries matter.
Do you have, Joy, any tips for parents that on the flip side? So like what would we be looking for in someone that's close to us that may be preying on our children? Do you know what I mean? Are there some signs that maybe we are not aware of that we should be looking at? Because we already know what we should be looking at in our child, but what about the people that are around us or around our children?
Yeah. So always, watch the temperament of people when you tell them no. And it doesn't necessarily have to be pertaining to your child, but if they don't understand no, if they come back with an excuse, well, I just want to, do this, or I don't see the problem with doing that, and they do not respect your no, then that is a huge red flag. Because if they don't respect your no, what do you think they're going to do with your child? Another thing to watch out with people is, how they, treat children, because some people are overly affectionate, but then you have some people that they can be, let me say this the right way, they can be demanding of a child's affection. So it's like, give me a hug or give me a kiss. And it's like, you're not demanding anything of my child. You can ask them, do you mind if I give you a hug? Asking them their permission. So be very mindful of people who don't respect no, and be very, very careful of people who demand things of children, such as come here, do this, do that. And it's just like, if it was in a situation where their bodies were compromised or they were sexual power, those are the two major things. Because every time I sit down with people who have been sexually abused or assaulted, that's the things that they say. They didn't respect when I said no, and they were manipulative as far as, demanding that I do certain things, like just touch me here, it's okay. And, so just watching out for demanding people and people who do not respect the word no.
Thank you.
I'm going to read a few more comments from the audience. Stacy says, we just have to protect our kids the best way we know how. I just told my son how to protect himself the best he can when getting off the school bus. You just never know what can happen, and parents can't always be there to protect our kids. She also says, we also have to protect our boys as well. Watch your boys. There are kids who are not being taught about their bodies and sex. Back in the day, everyone would be fearful of girls being touched, but there's a lot of boys that have been touched as well. There's a lot of men who were touched as children and have a lot of issues. But we have to protect our children and teach them how to protect themselves. And if they don't feel comfortable with letting your child spend the night away from home, stick with that. Watch your child's body language. As being said, watch their behavior patterns. And so I just want to end it with one more question for you, Naomi. I would just like to ask, what would you tell, what advice would you have for, you know, to pass on to other people who may have gone through this, or just even just what to watch out for?
I would say, well, all the ideas that she just said is true, but Joyce said something that was caught on to me. Watch out behavior patterns. If a child like me, from the age of 1 to 4, I was always a hyper child. I was hyper. I was always running around. I was always ask questions. I was a interactive person. I would say when I was young, I was always hyper. But as soon as that happened, my shell closed. I didn't want to play with no kids anymore. I would stay to myself in class. Even when we go out, I would be in a crowd of family, but I would be in the background. Like I walk slower. I'll walk away. Like I'll walk to like if we go to the park, watch that. You'll see a child solo, antisocial. She'll become antisocial. Um, for me, it blossomed through the years, but I was always drawn. People was always drawn to me. So in that sense, I would still be a shadow with even a crowd of people around me. I'll still be a shadow. Um, just you just watch out for the difference in a child, because you'll see the difference in a child. If you want to pay attention to a child, you'll see it. Um, what I'll say is I never knew that I had a lot of women that went through it. Um, I was always thinking at the time that I was an ugly person. I was already a big girl. So that initiated it too, that I stopped eating. So the eating part is very eye opener for parents, because my mom, yeah, when she was home and she would see me not eating, she would ask the question, but she won't prone to it. Like she won't keep at it until you're that child that want her to keep at it for you could say it, but she'll just brush it out. Okay, go to the room. You'll eat something later. You know what I'm saying? They won't keep asking the question, why? You just eating. I just made this food. Why you not eating? Why you don't want to eat? Come here and eat. So I would say just to keep an eye on all of that. Um, and to the kids, if you are listening, or if you if you're watching this or wherever this is posted, and you do and you're a part of that person that went through it or know someone that's going through it, please reach out to that person, or just say, ask them 3 words, are you okay? And really mean it. Are you okay? Don't say, are you okay? And be like, look them in the eye. That's what the teacher did to me. She looked me in the eye and she asked me, are you okay? And the sincerity of her asking me that question, I broke down. I felt relieved someone asked me, really cared to ask me if I'm okay. Because in families, they don't ask that. They just feel like you're okay. They'll ask, how was your day in school? Okay, just okay. My kids, I don't do that. No. I asked them, how was their day in school? Okay, okay. What you mean, okay? What happened? What you did in your classes? I prone and ask questions. Even when they go out with friends, which I did. Went to the movie. What movies you watched? Where y'all sat at? I asked all that question. just so I can see if something else is out of the ordinary. So ask some questions. How, what, when, why? Ask all that questions. Thank you, Miss Neat.
Thank you for sharing with us, Naomi.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, Joy, for sharing, your input. Anybody that is watching, there is also a 1-800 number for sexual abuse or rape victims that you can contact. Thank you all for tuning in and sharing your positive comments. You guys have a good night. God bless you, Naomi. Please stay strong. And thank you.
Thank you all.
Good night.
Bye.
Naomi. Bye-bye.